Welcome back to Geek Channel 8. I'm Eric.
And I'm well.
And today we have another animated film with cavemen and dinosaurs. I know you're shocked.
I I joined the Discord, Eric. At some point in every middle-aged man's life, they have to do this, I guess, and that's what I did. Why? Because that's where the kids are hanging out and talking about like gardening stuff. It's a
What?
yeah.
I check Discord many times a day, so I don't know about it being where the kids hang out, but it's where I hang out. So again, once again, I think we're just proving that Eric has Peter Pan syndrome or some crap. I get that that is like the underlying thing that we have to try to establish every single time we do one of these.
Yeah, no, that's fair though, 100%. Because I'm
No,
like,
it's not fair.
I really do think. I mean, we don't have to point it out, but man, it comes up because I mean, it's just real, and we're trying to keep it real. Oh, wait, do kids say
Uh,
that anymore? I don't know. But yeah, I had to join the Discord because it's Food Not Lawns, and they're
it's what? Food, not
called
bombs?
no Food Not Lawns. See, it's not as aggressive, but still.
Oh,
And we
man.
actually, but also it's more on this like literally, it's like, hey, you got a lawn? Can we plant food there? No, really, we'll plant it for you. We why? Because we need food. People need food. That's pretty much it. Makes me happy. And when you run into a young person like literally like those 20 years difference, I was talking to this young guy, and not only were we like talking, we were listening to the same stuff and talking about the same things. And you may not understand the significance of this. He gave me 3 seeds from chestnut trees. They had already been cold stratified. They're ready to be planted.
Okay,
Yeah.
let me see if I get this significance. To me, here's what I know about chestnut trees. They used to be everywhere.
Yeah.
When you hear chestnuts roasting on an open fire and all that, you're always like, when the hell did anybody roast a chestnut? I've never roasted a chestnut in my life. It's like,
Right.
why are we supposed to think of that when we think of Christmas time? But apparently, it was a fairly common practice because there are chestnut trees everywhere due to, I don't know, some kind of blight, some kind of like invasive
Oh
species.
yeah.
I have no idea what, for whatever reason. The chestnuts, who, much like passenger pigeons, just covered the landscape at one point in time, now are on the brink of extinction. I guess the passenger pigeon is extinct, but the chestnut trees still exist for now. I think what we have is a situation where they're not very common anymore, and by giving you these seeds that are in some weird condition, you and this person are helping to repopulate the chestnut population. Am I right?
Okay, I'm just gonna say, considering this is 100% not your geek, amazing, bro. I mean, really, you were on it. You pretty much nailed it. Now, these are hybrids. They're not pure bloods, but they can survive they came from a tree that is a hybrid, and so it's able to survive. So, of course, we got the blight from other chestnuts that came in. They were Chinese chestnuts. Chinese chestnuts are still around, but nothing is as prevalent as American chestnuts used to be. Once again, we transformed the entire landscape. Sometimes you think it's like, how do people ever survive before? And the list of industrialized food, and some of it was the food just grew here. Like chestnuts just make a lot of food, and you can just pick it up off the ground. That's why people like me are into it. Like okay, I don't even know what that's gonna taste like, but that sounds like a great idea. Now, if you do want to taste chestnuts, in Europe and in Asia, they're very popular. People like to roast their own.
Given that this is 100% not my geek, and you'll see how 100% not my geek this is, I have sitting in my kitchen pantry a brown bag with chestnuts in it. Probably like a dozen chestnuts in it or something. I probably found them at a farmer's market or something. And I got them with the intention I will roast these.
Yes.
3.5 years later, they still sit in that bag unroasted because one, I can't figure out how to do it. And two, I never think, you know what? today I'm going to roast those chestnuts. It just doesn't happen, right? So, are they still good? Do I need to toss them? Can they
I
be
mean, I don't
planted?
know, man.
Are 3-year-old chestnuts still edible? Like,
If you were hungry, I think they 100% be like, yeah, eat that, man. But I'm imagining that if there's anything, any insects that were on them will probably have hatched and eaten their way through. That's kind of thing. Like, sometimes you have that problem with nuts anyway, especially they. But I don't know, man. I'd probably roast them and try them. I mean, yeah, it's totally worth it. Also gives you opportunity for fire, and we both know you like some fire.
yeah, I think that I also have like a cookbook that is for like acorns, and it's like all acorn flour recipes.
Oh hell
But the
yeah!
problem is I've never had the gumption to go out and collect enough acorns to grind them up to make enough flour to make anything worth eating when I could just go to the store and buy real flour. And like I live down the street from one of the biggest flour companies in the US. I'd have to go onto neighbors' properties to collect acorns and stuff like that. I don't have an oak tree in my yard,
All
which
right,
isn't
we're
my yard to begin with. But okay, enough about this. Let's get
way
into
off. But
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just dandy. The chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
what snack pairing did you choose?
all right, so I'm gonna apologize ahead of time. This is not something I've actually tasted, but I did think about this a lot, and it's something that I think is ideal. The tie-in is Manchester, okay, and specifically football.
Okay.
So this is a cocktail. I think you might like that. It's called a King Eric. It's named after, of all things, a French international player called Eric Cantona. His nickname by Manchester United fans is King Eric. I was like, I wonder what the drink is for because I figured, they have everything else. They have their own chants, they have everything they have a drink. Well, there's not a cocktail per se, but there is cocktails have been made in their honor. So there's other ones like the Posh and Beck, which, that's
David Beckham and Posh Spice. Yeah.
yeah. I'm like, nah, it's not quite it. This is King Eric. This is more ideal, and it's not. It looks like it's one of those things. I'm like, you could do this really fancy, or I bet you could do a bootleg version of it. So it's strawberry infused gin, uh,
Hmm.
French mixed berry liqueur.
I don't know about French, but I have a mixed berry liqueur that I made.
This man, I tell you what. Every time I'm like, oh, I mean, no. Actually, this one's less a surprise than like freaking, chestnuts sitting on the counter. But like, because I'm like, it does involve booze. So,
No, I have to use it up. It's actually quite sweet. It's a blackberry liqueur,
oh man,
primarily
yeah.
blackberry. It's called creme de mure. I got to use it up because it's in one of those decanters with the glass spherical like
Oh,
plug,
nice.
that doesn't make it quite as airtight as if it
But it
was in
looks
like
cool as hell.
yeah, it looks cool as hell. It looks like a potion, right? It looks like a giant potion. But I rarely have the opportunity to be like, yes, let me get the blackberry liqueur out. I think this recipe is sounding like something I could do. Keep going.
All right, right. Of course, there's more stuff. So, grapefruit liqueur. It doesn't even have to be French. And then French vanilla syrup. Now, this thing sounds sweet as hell. It looks pretty sweet. There are no instructions I could find on the internet because this is from a place called The Cage. I don't know. They're related to soccer somehow. They're in across the pond. They have a whole bunch of different ones. I was looking at this other one. I mean, honestly, Eric, you should probably look at this because there's some cool ones. Had to look up what a gate four meant, but it's a gate four old fashioned, right? So it's an old fashioned. It's funny they call it American corn based bourbon,
Yeah.
uh, mixed with Aztec chocolate
By the
milk.
way, that is a that is a redundant statement.
Exactly.
But it's not redundant if you don't live in the U.S. because that's a U.S. requirement that bourbon be corn based.
Yeah, that makes sense. We think of it as like, yeah, bourbon. Oh, anything that's not that is fake. Duh.
No, actually, there's rye. It's fairly common. So if it can be like 49% corn and 51% rye, and it's a rye at that point.
Oh,
So there are rye liquors that you can buy. Like they're not as common as bourbon, but they're around.
yeah, because we got corn, boy. We got lots of corn. That's our thing. I mean,
Yeah.
anyway, Gate 4, it turns out Gate 4 is a reference to I think it's a Greek soccer club / gang. Oh, unlike some soccer clubs, it's not just a soccer club. It goes across multiple sports. And that's who they are. I mean, I'm like, are you guys basically just like this feels like a gang thing? I don't know, man. But the drinks look cool, and I think King Eric is dead nuts. It's like, yes, this is perfect.
Do you have a source for that recipe for people that want to look it up?
Yes, it's the cagecocktailbar.com. It's a highfalutin thing to get drunk.
While we're at it, I'll give a source. When I looked up creme de mure because I wanted to get the exact name because I had forgotten, I just put berry liqueur du mal because that was the only part of it I remembered into Google, and literally the first thing in the Google results was blackberry liqueur creme de mure recipe. The second result was from Serious Eats, DIY versus buy, how to make blackberry liqueur. It's an article by Marcia Simmons, and I just scanned it real quick, and it has a section on it available to buy, and it says creme de mure seems to be fairly common in Europe, but here in the States, it's a little harder to find. So I'm guessing the reason I made this in the first place was because I couldn't find it and I wanted it.
Yeah.
It's not all that uncommon for people to make this stuff. So, unlike the apricot brandy, which I made specifically for an episode of the show that we did, that might be a little more uncommon. This seems to be a little bit more common that people would make this. So, I don't take the blame for
That's not like you're a booze hound. I mean, we get what you're saying. You're like, no, I'm not a booze hound just because I happen to have this in my
No, I think I'm more saying I'm not a DIYer.
No,
like I am,
you
but
totally
but I think that well, you say that, but like last night I was watching again the new Nerd Forge, and she built like a coffee table. It looks like books on the outside all the way around, and the inside is a miniature library complete with LEDs and tiny bottles of potions and
Okay.
stuff like that. And
She's literally a professional DIYer. Okay, nothing says DIYer more than having a project sitting on your counter for 3 years that you haven't finished. That's the most DIY thing ever.
I think that is not because it doesn't have the D part down. Like
it's
you
the
have to
intention.
no.
Okay,
No.
but before we go on from this, I want to mention. Okay, so I go grow blackberries. You can buy them. In even just in like grocery stores, but they grow so easily to the point where in some places they're invasive. Blah blah blah. But to enjoy them, not everybody likes the seeds, right? Most people like the flavor. And when the first thing you said, when you're like, I don't know when I'm going to use this, I'm like, haha. Next time you have pancakes, bro, be doing that. Next time you have ice cream, be using that. That is so good. It's like this is the thing that when we get a bunch of blackberries, my wife she'll cook them down, maybe with a little bit of sugar, and then put that stuff on everything because it is just bam right into the cheeks, super flavorful, and contrast it with something. That's why I said just a little bit of sugar because you want to contrast it with something else, and you will not be sorry. I mean, honestly, I think it's amazing. I'm all about the growing the berries anyway because they're the easiest thing to grow. You put them in the ground, something's going to happen. You don't have to do anything after that. You can totally use that on some ice cream. Get yourself some good ice cream and use that. You will be very happy.
And now, on with the show.
Today's film, early man. But before we do that, a little background of the year. Because believe it or not, this year is actually pretty far in our rearview mirror already, 2018.
Yeah.
So, the whole world has changed a whole lot because we had a global pandemic only a couple years after this. So let's talk about this. January 31st of 2018, there was a total lunar eclipse, a super blue blood moon, because it was a super moon and a blue moon eclipse. The first time since 1982.
Oh man, that explains a lot.
February 6th, 2018, SpaceX nails its first Falcon Heavy flight, making history in space exploration, long before it became more known for littering up the Gulf of America. March 14th, high school students across the U.S. walk out to protest gun violence, kicking off a wave of youth activism. April 18th of 2018, cinemas open in Saudi Arabia after 35 years.
Wow.
Black Panther is the first movie they show. May 19th, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's wedding becomes a worldwide event, drawing in 1.9 billion viewers. June 12th, the first ever summit between a sitting U.S. president and a North Korean leader goes down in Singapore. July 25th, scientists find a subglacial lake on Mars, making it the first known body of water on the planet and raising hopes for alien life.
I think I missed that one. Fucking cool, man.
August 12th, NASA launched the Parker Solar Probe, sending a spacecraft closer to the sun than ever before. September 2nd, a fire rips through the National Museum of Brazil, destroying over 90% of its collection, including priceless artifacts. October 26, 2018, Red Dead Redemption 2 drops and becomes one of the best-selling video games of all time, with over 50 million copies sold. November 5th, NASA's Voyager 2 probe enters interstellar space, becoming the second spacecraft to leave the solar system. And December 3rd, NASA's OSIRIS-REx probe arrives at asteroid Bennu to start its mission of collecting samples and bringing them back to Earth. So that's kind of some of the things that were going on in 2018 that you might have missed or forgotten.
Chief!
Whoa, whoa, whoa!
Time to go hunting!
Bit early, isn't it, Doug? Right, grab a spear.
Oh, it's pointy.
Change your underpants today?
Yeah, changed them with dongle.
Never mind.
Shush, everyone! Attack!
Excellent. The edge of stone is over. Long live the edge of bronze. Hey!
Where have you been, the Stone Age?
I've got to save the tribe.
The arena's this way.
So throw your sticks and throw your stones, cause you ain't gonna break my bones. Huh? If I'm a sinner, then I don't feel
Caveman?
A caveman? You leave my tribe in peace.
How dare you? I'll take him away and kill him. Slowly. Ah, idiots.
If we win, we can have our valley back.
And if we don't beat them?
We'll spend the rest of our lives working down a mine.
What's a mine?
You're pretty brave, caveman. And stupid.
Oh,
I can help.
Hobnob, you stay. I don't want to attract attention.
Let's go back a ways. Let's go back more than a decade before 2018 to talk about how this movie came about. In June of 2007, Aardman Studios announced two new films, one of which was jokingly referred to as an untitled Nick Park film, which is not another Wallace and Gromit movie. By May of 2015, it was officially named Early Man with a $50 million funding from the British Film Institute. Unfortunately, Early Man was a box office disappointment.
Oh, yeah.
It grossed just $8.2 million in North America and $46.3 million internationally, including $15.8 million from the UK. So technically it made back its Film Institute grant, but not much else.
It wasn't the last one that went to the theaters.
I think it might have been. It did face tough competition from, as we earlier mentioned, Black Panther dominating the theaters at the same time it came out.
Yeah.
In North America, Early Man opened to just $3.1 million, falling far short of projections and continued to underperform, eventually dropping out of most theaters by its third week. Internationally, it fared a little better, with the UK being its strongest market. Critics were somewhat positive about the film, with Early Man earning an 81% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes. While it didn't quite measure up to Aardman's past hits, reviewers appreciated the studio's signature visuals and humor. So on Metacritic, it scored a 68 out of 100, which indicates generally favorable reviews. Audiences gave it a B grade on CinemaScore. As for the voice cast, Early Man features Eddie Redmayne as Doug, a young Stone Age caveman, and Tom Hiddleston as the villainous Lord Nuth. Maisie Williams voices Guna, a football-loving vendor in the Bronze Age city. Other notable voices include Timothy Spall as Doug's father figure, Chief Bobnar, and Miriam Margolyes as Queen Ufifa of the Bronze Age city. The cast also includes Kevin Novak, Rob Brydon, Richard Ayoade, and Johnny Vegas in various roles, including a pet wild boar named Hognob, voiced by Nick Park himself. In the end, Early Man had its moments, but struggled to find an audience. Still, its quirky humor, it made it another pretty solid entry from Aardman by their studio standards. Okay, let's jump in and talk about this. Spoiler alert. To avoid spoilers, skip ahead 4 minutes.
Spoilers!
Yeah, tons of spoilers, but, you know, this one starts in 2 million BC, and it opens with our Dino Battle of the Week.
Dino Battle of the Week!
This opening scene is the entire connection it has to our series, because the dinos die off pretty quick in this, but it is a dino battle worth talking about because it is the classic T-Rex and Triceratops battle.
Yes.
And do you know what their names were?
Oh, God, no.
The T-Rex was called Ray, and the Triceratops was called Harry.
Aww.
A clear reference to Ray Harryhausen, the great pioneer of stop-motion animation, especially with dinosaurs. Okay, then an asteroid hits the Earth near Manchester, wiping out the dinosaurs, but sparing a tribe of cavemen living nearby. They find a hot piece of the asteroid and start kicking it around, inventing the game of football. Fast forward to the Stone Age, and the impact sites turn into a lush valley. Doug, a caveman, wants to hunt mammoths instead of the usual rabbits, but Chief Bobnar refuses, thinking the tribe's too uncoordinated for that. Then a Bronze Age governor, Lord Nuth, kicks them out of their valley and into the volcanic Badlands. Just they come in and take over. Doug tries to fight back, but ends up being taken to Nuth City, where he's mistaken for a football player. And to escape, Doug challenges Nuth's elite team to a game with the valley as the prize. If they lose, Doug promises his tribe will work in Nuth's mines forever. Newt agrees, thinking he'll make a profit. Doug soon realizes his tribe doesn't know how to play football. They get chased by a giant duck that destroys their only football. Doug sneaks into the city to steal more balls. He meets Guna, a female vendor who secretly practices football, and then she agrees to help Doug with his team, coaching them and teaching them the importance of teamwork. Meanwhile, Queen Ufifa warns Newt of the consequences if the cavemen actually win. So Newt tries to demoralize Doug by showing him cave paintings from his ancestors who invented football but never won the game. When the Queen arrives to watch the final match, both Wallace and Gromit can be seen in the crowd.
Oh.
Please note that while Wallace is in view of the camera shot, only Gromit's ears are shown. Nick Park hadn't been aware that the animators had done this until post-production. They stuck it in. On match day, Doug plans to forfeit and take his tribe's place in the mines, but his teammates, now riding a tame giant duck, show up to play. The cavemen score first, but Noose team takes a 3-1 lead, and when Doug's tribe ties the game, Noose sabotages the referee and plays dirty, leading to Bobnar being knocked out as the goalie. Hognob, Doug's pet wild boar, takes over and blocks a penalty kick. Doug scores the winning goal with a bicycle kick, and the cavemen win their valley back, gaining respect from the locals. Newt tries to escape with the crowd's money, but is caught and arrested. And later, Guna and Newt's team join Doug's tribe for a hunt, but they're scared off by a rabbit pretending to be a woolly mammoth. So that is the entire film in brief summary.
So this is basically a sports movie underdog story that is just barely, just barely. I mean, I guess it's cavemen, sort of, but like
it's like the Flintstones. It's like the modern Stone Age family, right? It's like completely modern, where they just use like dinosaurs as tools, that kind of thing. Like,
yes.
Like I totally would have expected a baby elephant vacuum cleaner, at some point. It's that kind of a film. That's how it treats the subject matter. I think we can all agree the real star of the show is Hognob.
Oh yeah. Well, apparently he loves his animal sidekicks, and who doesn't? I mean, animal sidekicks are awesome, and they may be the quote sidekicks, and yet they are the star of the show.
What I don't understand is why he didn't do this with Shaun the Sheep, because wasn't there a whole like short film of Shaun the Sheep playing football?
I mean, didn't he kind of just? I mean, he's like, okay, we'll just change this, then change that. Okay, good, we're good to go. This could have been one episode in a show about early man. It would have been really cool.
It's true.
I love it. I thought this was fun. It was a breath of fresh air. It was Aardman, and they had some great jokes in there. I always marvel at what they managed to do with stop motion. The odd thing is, in a way, it was like watching a film from another culture. Oh, wait, because it was not only, it's a British film about football. All right. If that's not your thing, there's all these jokes, and you're like, I almost get that, but it kind of just went over my head. Just slightly. I'm like, I almost got it. No.
Yeah. I don't know. So, okay.
I mean, but Queen Ufufa? Yeah, I mean, things like that. It's like, okay, yeah, I kind of got that.
It's Ufifa, like Latifa.
Exactly.
Right? So I'm like really thumbs medium on this. I almost a thumbs down on it. It's not a thumbs down the way that BC Rock was like a way thumbs down, a definite thumbs down. This is just more of a time waster to me. It's like, okay, but I would much rather watch a Wallace and Gromit film or Chicken Run.
Oh, yeah.
They've done way better than this.
Oh, 100%.
This is the least of their canon, in my opinion. Also, I think there are some movies that push my buttons in the right way, and there's some that push them in the wrong way. And this one kind of pushes them the wrong way. I don't care for its particular blend of Stone Age, Bronze Age, and Modern Age. Like, it feels too much. It's like narrow the field here a little bit,
All right, so yeah, that definitely sounds like a you thing, but like it's okay. There's not like you said, this is probably the least of their canon, and but and also I have to say, man, if it's like wow, I just had like a root canal, so things that are not a root canal are pretty good, and then we watched this back to back with BC Rock, so this was like, oh wow, that was wonderful. Okay, if anything, I wanted less. Okay, I wanted less soccer stuff, which is most of what the film is. It's a soccer story, soccer underdog story with lots of soccer references, and I mean, literally, I think the two guys they had calling the game might be like, I mean, they are 100% just some guys who call games. It's kind of like having Tom and Ray in Cars, it's like that. It's that kind of reference. So there's a lot of stuff where it's like, it's kind of wasted on me. I'm not a sports guy anyway, and I'm definitely not an English footballing sports guy.
Well, I mean, I'm not a sports guy either, but if it's done really well, you don't have to be. So, like Miracle, the Disney movie about the miracle on ice. Speaking
Uh,
of, I think we talked about the Lake Placid Olympics last time. I love it. Rocky. I'm not particularly into boxing.
yeah,
Rocky's an awesome film, you know.
Raging
Uh,
Bull.
Raging Bull, yeah. But whatever the sport is, if it's a really good movie, A League of Their Own. I don't care about women's baseball from the mid 20th century, but that movie's awesome, right? If it's really good, then I'll watch it because it's a good movie. I think this movie could have been done just as a soccer film without the whole early man concept at all. And
Yeah.
it might have been even better, you know?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I,
Yeah.
I I don't know if there would have been anything left for me at that point. I mean, it's essentially. I was thinking about this when I was a kid. One of the movies, my dad was not big on going to movies, but when he exposed us to movies, they are almost always awesome. And one of them was Victory. It's a prison camp, story of Allied prisoners against the Nazis playing soccer. It's awesome. It's an example of exactly the story being awesome. So, I mean, it's not a kids' movie thing because, Nazis, but we watched it as kids and we got a lot out of it. And, it was very victorious, very moving. This movie, it tried. And the fact of the matter is that because it's Aardman and I have an affinity for them, I'm like, okay, but so I can't really give it a thumbs down, but I wouldn't recommend it to anybody who, unless they are into soccer.
Well, I'd say I could recommend it to people who aren't into soccer but are into claymation, particularly Aardman films, but make it the last Aardman film you watch. Watch the other ones first, because in my opinion, this is the weakest one they've made.
Well, I would actually say maybe watch this one first. That way, everything else will be like, wow, this is so much better.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Don't stop here. Whatever you do, don't stop here. But like you'll be like, oh wow, they've really gotten better, and you will have no idea that no, actually, this came later.
Yeah, the soccer thing and the caveman thing, I would rather watch like Curse of the Were-Rabbit or something,
Yeah, yeah.
I think that about wraps it up for this week. If you want to send us some feedback, you can at our email address, which is gc8podcast, letter G, letter C, number 8, podcast at gmail.com. We also have a Facebook group. You can join it, but you got to like send a request because somehow Facebook is just terrible and won't let us make it a public group. So it is a private group that you have to get permission to join, but we'll give you permission. Don't worry about it. If you want to help out the show, you can refer 2 friends in the year 2025. We are asking everybody to refer 2 friends to the show. Beyond that, smaller ways you can help out is give us a good rating and review on whatever platform you use to download this show. Until next time, this is Eric.
And this is Will.
Signing off.
You in particular, Eric, you're kind of a perfectionist about stuff, just a wee bit. a little bit obsessive. Like, we won't go into exactly how you've insisted on consuming Marvel media. We won't talk. Just we'll just be quiet about that right now.